I'm playing with them already 1 year, and we were playing only one tournament like last year.
Okay.
It's just ridiculous. We didn't have a lot of competition, and now I think it's gonna be like a lot of good teams. I would say it's not a good idea to just make like mixed tournaments because we're still different.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome into another interview. Got more pumping out, I suppose. I've got quite a few booked on, to be honest. So appreciate you finding the time. I'm of course joined by Tory for this afternoon. Pretty excited to get into this. Right, we've got a number of things to kind of talk about in the CS scene at the moment. But as I've just kind of mentioned to you, I wanted to start with a little bit more about some of your history. Right, so I've been playing in the scene for a few years, since I think 2017 I could find as far back. I'm not sure if there's any more there that maybe has not been charted down, but I wanted to start with one of the more sort of notable teams, I guess, that you got yourself into, this Lazarus project around the 2018 time. I think it was kind of a cool one, right? They had opened up a little bit of an NA team at the time as well, and they pushed into Valorant when that came out and everything. But I think very basically, really, Tory, could you sort of talk me through some of the time during that team from like a playing perspective, how you felt things went there, and maybe also some of the day-to-day runnings of that team?
Hello, first of all, thank you for inviting again. And my CS career started, professional CS career started in 2018. I was playing in Russian team we called Lazarus. Yeah, and well, we've been playing like 1 year under Lazarus, and we were playing like VSG in China together, and yeah, something like this. We took a second place there, and it was the most frustrating game in my life, I would say, because we were leading in first map like 14-9 and second map 14-10 or something, and we just lost our final, I would say. And yeah, what else you wanted to hear?
No, I mean about kind of Lazarus. Just sort of wanted to maybe ask a little bit more about like why you think they dropped the team. Maybe with indeed Valorant coming in around that time, because it was in sort of the tail end of 2020, if I'm not mistaken. The start of 2020, right? They moved away from CS, it looks like. So I don't know if you have any kind of insight into why maybe that was.
I didn't really know this, but in the end of the year, in the end of 2018, like we had not really good period in Lazarus. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of tournaments as well, and we had like bad results, and they just decided to like part ways with us.
Fair enough.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of fair. So, because I think one of the aims that I wanted to get by having you in is to just sort of get a few more ideas around the female scene, sort of at that time, leading into what we're going to talk about, a little bit later on, and how maybe things have changed, or how you feel, things have changed around. I guess moving on from that, because I think this next team that you and currently, still playing is a team that's found pretty good success within the female scene, right? So Galaxy Racer, then moving into Nigma Galaxy as well. After that, you guys have put up some relatively good results, and I think certainly playing pretty well this year for sure, and then of course coming very, very close at some of your DreamHack showdowns and whatnot against the likes of Xset, who have gone on into Valorant to be one of the stronger female Valorant teams as well. A lot of recognizable names for people out there within that Xset lineup when they were playing in CS. How do you feel that things are going for you in the current roster, NGX that you're a part of?
I can't say yet because when I joined Galaxy Racer band back then, we didn't have a lot of tournaments. Like, imagine since I'm playing with them already 1 year, and we were playing only one tournament like last year.
Okay.
It's just ridiculous. And it was Girl Gamer, and we took third place. We didn't have like bad performance, and yeah, like after we didn't have any tournaments, and now like when UCL announced this set of tournaments, I just can't believe it happened. Like for so long we were sitting without tournaments. We tried to compete in male scene, that it was not really good. yeah and I'm so like motivated for 2022 that we have this opportunity to play again, like
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I think so. Obviously that's an area that I think we'll probably spend the majority of the interview talking about here. Just a little bit of history out there. Maybe not as many gaps. I think Liquipedia does a really good job of covering everything. Of course, if people want to go over there and check out some of the tournaments and some of the other teams, because there was the No Fear 5 or No 5 Fear. I think it's No Fear 5, but it seems you guys don't have a page for that one, unfortunately. Was that a bit of a mixed team, I guess, or sort of like a team that you could just sort of play in while you were in between the Lazarus project and whatnot?
No, it was team, and I got invited after I left Lazarus. I was playing with them not for so long, like 3 months or something like this. Yeah, and then I got invited for tryout in Galaxy Racer, and I had to leave them. Yeah.
Fair. Okay, fair enough. So yeah, I think, like I say, the vast majority of kind of what I wanted to talk about, and I think it's a really good time to have someone like yourself on to talk about this, is of course this ESL GGFORALL initiative, but of course a big part of that is the 500k female-only league that they're going to be running for the foreseeable future. It looks like, right? A lot of cash cups in there, which have done a really good job at elevating the NA scene, for example, because they are relatively open tournaments, and people can put together a bit of a team if they were thinking about going competitive, and those cash cups, I think, especially are a really cool initiative. I think, first of all, very basic question on it, your initial feelings, like what are you thinking about this female only league? Is it something that you'd wanted to see? Is it something that you think is going to be a massive positive? Is there anything maybe that you can see about it that could be a problem, or they're doing something in the wrong way? What are your thoughts on this female only league?
No, of course, it's really good move by them. Like, I would say we never had such stuff in the past, and it's really good that we have 2 leagues in per month, and it will bring a lot of new players, like in Counter-Strike female scene. Yeah, and more potentials as well, and more teams. We will have more competition. That we didn't have a lot of competition as well, only like G2, like back then. Yeah, and we were always competing with them. And Galaxy Racer, when I was playing in No Fear 5, it's like only 3 teams. We didn't have a lot of competition, and now I think it's gonna be like a lot of good teams. Like, this year will bring a lot of good teams, a lot of good players as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it certainly is a pretty massive move, and obviously, like you say, bringing a lot more people into the fray, a lot more attention, and whatnot. Because I think that WESG for the female scene was a relatively decent prize pool, but there's not been as much that sort of kept up with that was able to compete and indeed bring in a few more female players to kind of make it a bit more viable of a job option almost, you know what I mean? Like, because there is an awful lot of work that goes into it, and that's going to be one of the things I think that draws a lot more people in. So I feel like, from your perspective, this added competition level, is that something that you maybe worry about, or are there going to be other teams that might start to compete? Are there other female players that you know out there that maybe are pug stars but have not necessarily considered getting into a team and whatnot, or is this something that you've said you're motivated? I would imagine that's the general feeling of some of your teammates as well. So how are you feeling looking at the competition for next year?
No, it's definitely that I want to see. That's why I'm playing this game. I love competition. That's why we're playing. Like, I'm really try hard person. I like working. Like, I don't know. I really want more competition. It's just always so fun, so interesting. Like when you're preparing for your enemies and stuff like this.
Fair. Respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, I definitely respect, and coming in from my angle of mainly commentary work, right? It's great to see like a lot more and opening up the talent scene as well. They have an initiative for that, which I think is a fantastic idea, because there are obviously a few female members of talent that work on the top events and whatnot. Freya, Frankie, Smix in the past and whatnot, and I think that commentary wise, in the sort of mid-level where I work, there's hardly any, right? There's like Mimi, who mainly does Valorant. She's done a little bit of CS. Nauri is a host that's done a little bit of CS, but there's not as many endemic and committed talent members. So I think that the whole energy and idea from ESL ultimately is a really solid idea. One thing I think that's kind of interesting to me, there's only like a handful of lands, the ESL are proposing. A lot of the money, a lot of the competition is going to come from these cash cups. You have a bit of experience with lands, obviously not so much in the past couple of years, right? But is that something that you feel you need to see more of, or do you think it's healthier for the female scene to build up a bit more experience playing online? What do you feel is the better angle to get the scene growing?
Yeah, of course, it's more about lands. Yeah, definitely. Like teams always showing themselves like on lands mostly than they're sitting at home. Like it's easier to play at home than playing at lands, because it's a lot of pressure. Like there's a lot of people and these emotions. It's much better. Like, and people always like more interested to watch like, for example, lands than like home tournaments. Yeah, that's all.
Fair. No, I think that it'd just be good to see a few more. I think that certainly they have a lot under the DreamHack name, which is something that, as it were, for the quote-unquote male scene or main scene, however you want to angle that, they've changed the names of like the DreamHack stuff, right? So I think it's certainly curious, and it would be good to see an ESL challenger event. Anaheim is the first one, for example. Maybe next year we'll get that as like a female only event to get some more eyeballs on it, really, and get people watching. So I think one of the more difficult questions, and if you're a bit unsafe answering it, then whatever, but obviously there's been a few outspoken characters against this. I'm not really in agreement. I think some of the points maybe, but the way that they've come across, obviously, and I'm not going to name any names, but if you're in the know of the CS scene, then you kind of know what I'm talking about. I don't know. Is there anything that you feel is maybe warranted with some of like the criticism of how it's being brought about, and maybe the fact that ESL I don't know, it's kind of a hard one. Like ESL are maybe shrinking the ceiling, as it were, and a female-only league is good for now, but not the future, some people have said, and whatnot. How do you kind of answer back to some of the criticism that's been levied at this decision?
Yeah, I want to just say that I was saying before that any sport is divided into female and male. Like, I don't know why people have a lot of criticism about this, and people like always writing bad stuff about this, and seems like it will affect them or something. I don't know, like, but people, I'm always getting mad by reading a lot of stuff on Twitter like this, and just I'm trying to ignore it, but
Yeah.
like any sport, just male and female, it's normal.
Yeah, okay. So I guess on from that, because I think this is one of the angles that people have kind of talked about is the fact that, esports, there's not as much of like a physical barrier, right? To be a top footballer or wrestler or, boxer or whatever, there's obviously like peak physicality that you need for those certain sports, whether it's, long distance and energy or whether it's big power in your punches or whatever. Obviously, people have talked about esports in the past as being something that could level the playing field in a sense. So how do you feel about that? Is it a goal for yourself to take part in some sort of mixed tournaments in future, mixed teams in future? If, because I think the whole GG4ALL thing for me is going to bring more female players into the game, right? And more people who maybe are not as super competitive as yourself, or whatever, and have a bit of an angle of like, right, I don't have as much parental support, so I need to just go with a bit more of a well-paying career or whatever, right? Like, I don't want to get into it too much because we'd be here all day, but you know what I mean? Like, if now we get more people, more female players involved, and more organizations putting up female teams and stuff like that because there's somewhere for them to compete and earn money and all that. Is it something further down the line then that you could see yourself and the overall scene mixing in with those male players?
I would say it's not a good idea to just make like mixed tournaments because we're still different. Like the girls more emotional than boys, for example, and we have different like how to say, like speed of making decision, even like how you're making decisions, and like maybe individually skill, like we're good, like we have good individual skills, but we are more emotional. We have like slower like speed of making decisions. Yeah, and yeah, that's all.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And then, so what about? I mean, that answers like the angle of like a tournament kind of angle. What about like mixed teams in future? Because I think mixed teams is something that could work quite well. Once the female scene has developed and we're like, right, okay, this is the best that we've ever seen it, and we have this team that is incredibly dominant, playing really well. They have one or two players that look really good, and as we'd say from a broadcast perspective, on the eye test, not just your sort of stats versus people, but the way that the game is approached by this particular player is really good and could certainly compete and plays a lot better than X, Y, and Z male player that's in the top 10 or whatever. I feel that mixed teams is something that could work in future. I don't know, is that an angle that you could see as well, or what?
I would not say so. Like I said, we are just different, and it would be, I think, it would be a lot of fight inside the team, and I don't think it would go just well, Like, and girls still like weaker than boys, and I think they would prefer to play like as five, like a man, and like instead of taking girls in team.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, it's good to hear from someone who, you know where it's at the moment, and we'll see where it goes in time. Again, I think the point that you raised and the point that a lot of other people have raised, just having completely separate scenes, there's absolutely no issue in that either. And I think that the idea ultimately is to just kind of get them both flourishing and get them both popular, and as just sort of gaming becomes more approachable and inclusive and all that kind of stuff for everyone, really, I think that it's good to have an esports angle for both of them. So but there's a lot to unpack, there's a lot to talk about, right? And I think that on both sides. Obviously, there were a lot of characters saying things that were out of taste, and maybe the way in which they approached it is a bit uncool and all that. At the same time, you maybe don't want to force super, mixed tournaments and teams and all that kind of stuff when it's not really conducive to success at this point. So we'll see. But I think it's really curious. I don't know if you've got anything else to kind of add on the whole situation.
Yeah, maybe just in the future, but I don't think it's a good idea like to do it now,
Yeah,
but maybe in the future it will be like better. Yeah.
Because I think that's kind of like, the sort of almost to answer the question, and of whether esports can be this kind of equalizer and whatnot. And it's kind of interesting that you say that like decision making and all that kind of stuff is maybe a bit different, but who knows in time. And the thing is as well, with a bit more of a backed scene and whatnot, even just kind of scrimming, the stronger male teams and stuff like that, you probably will end up improving, you know what I mean? Like the whole female, because you have to think a few years ago, 2015, 2016 time, there was maybe like one NA team that could compete at a top level. And although the COVID era has not been too kind to North America and, the advent of Valorant and whatnot, we are now starting to see, we know that there's orgs in the past that have been pretty strong against the international competition. So I think it's a similar kind of trajectory of getting, the backing, getting those practice regimens and those areas even where you guys can practice safely and whatnot. Because I don't know, that's kind of an interesting question. Do you have like a practice facility for your team, or is it a sort of meet when you can basis? Like how does that work for your?
Yeah, our schedule is just like casual, like every team has, like we practicing 5 days per week, 5-6 days, and 7-8 even hours. Yeah.
But is
pretty casual.
But is all that done like online? Is kind of what I'm asking, or is there somewhere where you guys like meet up every day?
No, just online.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will be bootcamp in the future.
Right. That's the kind of thing that I'm kind of getting at, right? And more, because I think that's a really great point that a few people raised about all this, is that with more money coming into the female scene, you're gonna get a Team Liquid female and Astralis female and that kind of thing, right? That is going to grow everything and have the support system that the male teams get in for the female scene as well. So I just think it's I don't know, it's a really interesting time, and I think it will be an interesting question to ask in maybe 2 years' time of like, right, can we perhaps think about like a mixed team somewhere and see how it goes? But yeah, I think at the moment it definitely would be a move, a bridge too far, so to speak, in that sense.
Yeah.
So. All right.
I agree.
Cool. All right. Well, I think, Tory, that will do us. We've got around. I hope you enjoyed, and it wasn't too crazy. But yeah, we're good, and really enjoyed that. Thank you very much for coming on again.
Thank you so much.